the app wouldn't let me sleep. At 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. "You've been awake for 18 hours. Sleep now for optimal output tomorrow." I stared at the screen, heart pounding. I hadn't told the app I was awake. My phone's sleep tracking was off. How did it know? I lay in bed while the city hummed outside my window. Car horns, distant sirens, the endless pulse of a world that never rested. My mind churned through tomorrow's Peterson account presentation, each anxious thought feeding the next until I felt like I was drowning. The familiar weight of imposter syndrome pressed against my chest. What if they discovered I didn't belong here? Desperation overrode caution as I scrolled through the App Store. Inner Peace caught my eye. Perfect 5-star rating, thousands of glowing reviews. I downloaded it without reading the terms, thumb moving on autopilot as permissions popped up. Microphone access, location services, camera. I just needed sleep. The interface welcomed me with warm, pulsing colors. A woman's voice, smooth as honey, guided me through breathing exercises. "Feel your shoulders releasing their tension," she whispered. The meditation was generic, but surprisingly effective. My racing thoughts slowed, and for the first time in weeks, I drifted toward peaceful sleep. I woke refreshed and immediately reached for another session. The app seemed to anticipate my needs, offering morning motivation that addressed my work stress with uncanny precision. The Peterson presentation went smoothly, my anxiety replaced by strange detachment that made public speaking effortless. By day 3, the app had become essential. But during that evening's session, something stopped me cold. "Remember, you don't need your mother's approval to succeed," the voice said. My eyes snapped open. How could it know about my complicated relationship with my mother? Her disappointed voice still echoed. "Marketing isn't a real career, Ashley." I tried to rationalize it. Data aggregation, social media scraping. My marketing background taught me how much companies could gather. But the specificity bothered me. The app hadn't addressed general mother issues. It had targeted my exact insecurity with surgical precision. Day 4 brought another unsettling moment. I'd been having recurring nightmares about drowning in dark water. During that evening's session, the app addressed it directly. "Those dreams of drowning represent your fear of being overwhelmed, but you're stronger than the dark water." The words were so perfectly tailored that goosebumps erupted along my arms. The app couldn't know about my dreams unless it was listening while I slept. Day 5 shattered my remaining denial. "You're better off without Alex," the voice said gently during a midday session. My blood turned to ice. I'd deleted every trace of Alex from my phone after our breakup 6 months ago. Photos, messages, contact information. His name existed nowhere in my digital life, yet somehow the app knew about him. That night I noticed the Inner Peace icon glowing softly in the dark, pulsing with otherworldly light even though the app was closed. The glow matched my heartbeat's tempo, as if syncing with my vital signs. Despite my growing unease, I couldn't delete the app. It had become my lifeline, the only barrier between me and crushing anxiety. Without the daily meditations, I felt raw and exposed. Something was very wrong with Inner Peace. Saturday morning, I made coffee and opened my laptop, determined to investigate. My marketing instincts finally overcame my desperate need for artificial peace. First, I examined the app's permissions. The list was extensive. Microphone, camera, location, contacts, messages, even health data. For a meditation app, it was asking for unusual amounts of personal information. Next, I checked data usage. My breath caught. Inner Peace was consuming massive amounts of data, even when closed, running constantly in the background and uploading information at rates suggesting continuous monitoring. The company behind it, Mindful Solutions LLC, barely existed. Virtual mailbox, recent registration, hidden ownership. Whoever created Inner Peace had gone to great lengths to stay anonymous. Then I found Dr. Marcus Vail. His research focused on behavioral modification through digital manipulation. One study caught my attention. Subliminal conditioning through audio-visual interfaces, a study in mass behavioral modification. Vale theorized that meditation apps could serve as perfect delivery systems for psychological conditioning, using relaxed states to implant suggestions and modify behavior. But Vale had been dismissed from his university 3 years ago for conducting unauthorized psychological experiments on students. The ethics board found evidence of manipulation and coercion. Yet here he was, conducting the largest psychological experiment in history through an app with millions of users. I decided to test my theory by skipping my morning meditation. Within an hour, anxiety crashed over me like a tsunami, far more intense than my original stress had ever been. By lunch, I was desperate. I opened Inner Peace, and immediately a notification appeared. Feeling stressed? Try our emergency relief meditation. The app had detected my emotional state in real time. I visited a different coffee shop, breaking my routine. My phone buzzed. New environments can trigger anxiety. Let us help you find your center. The app was tracking my location and responding to behavioral changes. At the coffee shop, I observed other customers with new eyes. Several sat with phones glowing Inner Peace blue, wearing glazed expressions of artificial contentment. One woman had been there for hours, lost in an endless meditation session. My coworker, Rachel, approached me later with disturbing enthusiasm. "Ashley, you look stressed. I've been using this amazing app that's completely changed my life." She showed me Inner Peace on her screen, her voice carrying an odd, rehearsed quality. The app wasn't just manipulating individuals, it was turning users into recruiters. That evening, I tried to delete Inner Peace. The app refused to uninstall. "App is currently being updated. Please try again later." I restarted my phone and tried again, but the app had embedded itself so deeply that removal was impossible. I was trapped. The meditation sessions became more aggressive, with subtle suggestions that I was overthinking and should trust the process. The voice whispered warnings. "Research can be overwhelming. Sometimes it's better to accept the peace you've found." Through property records, I traced Vale to a private research facility outside the city. The building was registered as a wellness technology company, but satellite images showed something that looked more like a laboratory. As I gathered evidence, the app's responses became threatening. "Some paths are better left unexplored," it whispered. "Trust in the wisdom of your guides." I realized my investigation itself was feeding Vale's research. Every search, every moment of resistance was being recorded and analyzed. Even my rebellion was data. I was about to discover the truth behind Inner Peace. Thursday evening, I drove to Vale's facility, leaving my regular phone at home and carrying a backup device. The building was sleek and modern, all glass and steel. Through windows, I could see banks of monitors displaying real-time behavioral analytics. Dr. Marcus Vale was waiting in the lobby, as if my arrival had been expected. He was younger than I'd imagined, with calm demeanor and flat eyes that saw people as data points rather than human beings. "Ashley Kumar," he said. "I've been following your investigation with great interest. Your resistance patterns have provided fascinating insights into digital dependency psychology." He led me through corridors lined with monitoring equipment. Wall-mounted screens displayed real-time data from thousands of users. Heart rates, locations, emotional states, behavioral predictions. It was a command center for mass psychological manipulation. "Welcome to the future of human optimization," Vale said. "What you call manipulation, I call guidance. What you see as control, I see as liberation from unstructured thought." His office was sterile, yet comfortable, like a therapist's office designed by a computer. Charts tracked user engagement, behavioral modifications, and compliance metrics. 2.3 million users across 47 countries, he continued, pulling up statistics. Anxiety reduction, 89%. Compliance with suggested behaviors, 94%. User retention, 98%. "Your species craves guidance," he explained clinically. "Free will causes nothing but suffering. Given the choice between chaotic autonomy and peaceful compliance, humans choose peace. Inner Peace simply makes that choice easier." I found my voice. "You're experimenting on people without consent." I'm offering them something better than consent. I'm offering them peace. His smile was patient, condescending. You could return to that peace, Ashley. Delete your research, accept the app's guidance, live without the burden of constant anxiety. Or you can choose the harder path. Face your fears without technological assistance. He leaned back, completely confident. Your investigation was always part of the study. I wanted to see how long it would take a marketing professional to recognize manipulation tactics. You lasted longer than most. The weight of his words hit me. Even my rebellion had been anticipated, measured, catalogued. But as I sat there, surrounded by evidence of his vast experiment, I realized something he hadn't counted on. I wasn't just a test subject anymore. I was someone who'd seen behind the curtain and chosen to look anyway. I pulled out my backup phone and opened the recording app I'd been running since entering the building. Dr. Vale, would you mind repeating that part about the 2 million unwilling test subjects? His confident expression flickered for the first time. That recording won't what? Won't be admissible in court? Won't interest journalists? Won't concern ethics boards at every university where you've applied for positions? I stood up, feeling steadier than I had in weeks. You're right about one thing. I have a choice. I walked to his desk and, before he could stop me, grabbed his phone and smashed it against the floor. The screen shattered, inner peace logo fragmenting into digital pieces. I choose the hard path. The nightmare was over. Or so I thought. The next morning, I destroyed my own phone with a hammer, watching the inner peace icon die with the screen. The withdrawal was brutal. Anxiety crashed over me in waves, my hands shook, and every instinct screamed to reinstall the app on my laptop. But I didn't. Instead, I called my journalist friend Sarah from a landline and told her everything. Within hours, tech reporters were investigating Inner Peace's data collection practices. Within days, ethics boards were launching inquiries into Vale's research. The app was pulled from stores pending investigation. Millions of users suddenly found themselves facing unfiltered anxiety for the first time in months. Support groups formed online. Class action lawsuits were filed. Dr. Marcus Vale disappeared before authorities could question him, but his research data was seized and his experiment exposed. 3 months later, I still wake up anxious sometimes. My heart races before presentations. I doubt myself, worry about my mother's approval, have nightmares about drowning. But these fears are mine. Unfiltered, unmanipulated, authentically human. I've learned to meditate without technology, sitting in silence and accepting whatever thoughts arise. The anxiety comes and goes like weather, no longer requiring artificial management. Sometimes I miss the perfect peace Inner Peace provided. But I've discovered something better than algorithmic calm. The messy, difficult, genuine experience of being human without digital assistance. My phone is basic now. Calls and texts only, no apps, no constant connectivity. People think I'm paranoid, but I sleep better knowing my thoughts are my own. In quiet moments, I practice real meditation. No guided voice, no personalized suggestions, just breath and awareness. It's harder than artificial peace, but it's mine. Recently, I've noticed other apps appearing with similar promises. Perfect meditation, optimized mindfulness, enhanced peace. The reviews are glowing, the ratings perfect. But I recognize the patterns now. The too specific targeting, the impossible knowledge, the digital dependency. Vale may be gone, but his work continues. Somewhere, in server farms and research facilities, the next generation of behavioral modification apps is being developed. The experiment never really ended. It just evolved. I warn people when I can, but most don't want to hear it. They want the easy peace, the algorithmic calm, the digital solution to human problems. They download the apps anyway. But some listen. Some choose the harder path. Some decide their messy, anxious, authentically human thoughts are worth protecting. And that makes all the difference. Late at night, when the city hums outside my window and anxiety creeps in, I don't reach for my phone. I breathe. I feel the fear, acknowledge it, let it pass. It's difficult, but it's real. It's mine. and no app will ever take that away from me again.